Hello everyone. Welcome to my weekly Wednesday. This is Amanda Waldhart and you are visiting Amanda's Inspiration Station. So thank you so much. If you are following this right away when it comes out, I appreciate it. And if you're following it later on as a replay, I appreciate that as well. Or if you're watching it on my YouTube channel under Amanda Waldhart, I appreciate it. I really just thank you for visiting. So thank you. I'm excited about our weekly Wednesday today because many reasons. For starters, I began weekly Wednesday in the month of April, and this is my fourth weekly Wednesday, and it's the last Wednesday of the month. So we did it. We made a month. Yay! So that's exciting. The other thing that's exciting is last week we introduced Stampin' Up, brought out the retired list of all the items in the catalog that are being retired, which that is sad. That's not really a great thing for many. Many people are very sad about those things. However, for me, I'm more excited because that means new stuff, and I love new stuff. Not only am I a crafter, but I am also a collector, and I do think that most of us crafters are that. There are many times, well, not too many. I generally am pretty good, but I would say at least once or twice at the end of the year, I'll pull a stamp set out and I realize that I have never even used it yet, that it isn't even put together. And I'll be like, oh man. So today, two projects that we're going to do is something that really I have not played around with hardly at all this year. And a lot of it is on the retired list and it is still available. So I want to show it today. But before we get started with that, I do want to say too that if you are watching this video and you share my video, first of all, thank you. I greatly appreciate that. Second of all, your name will go into a drawing to win this stamp set. It's Tags for Bloom. It works with our Label Me Pretty punch that's in the mini catalog. I will be doing the drawing on this. Actually, it will be for the end of April, but I want those of you who are watching this video today to at least have a week to share the video. So I'm going to be placing the drawing for this next Tuesday on May 5th. It'll be the day before my weekly Wednesday starts for May. And then that way I will post and I'll tell you on the weekly Wednesday who earned this, okay? Who won it, not earned it, won it, okay? So I'll draw all the names, and remember, if you shared my videos throughout the month 3 times, 4 times, 2 times, it doesn't matter. How many times you do it is how many times your name goes in the drawing, okay? So there's that. We'll get that out of the way. Plus this week, this will be the last week. May 5th will be the last day to use this hostess code under amandasinspirationstation.com. Don't forget there is an S there. I know some people will say, well, I don't think your thing works, but there's an S. It's Amanda's. But here is the hostess code, and this will be up until May 5th. And you will get, if you place a $35 or more order, you will get last week's 2 projects, which let me just quick grab those so that you can see them. Didn't have those prepared. So last week's project was this cute dog card that we made with the happy tails. And then also this corrugated embossing folder is on the retired list. So that might be something, if you like it, might be something that you want to put on your wish list. And then the other item here is the Under My Umbrella bundle set, and that comes with the stamp set and the punch. If you get them together, you save 10%. If not, then it's always nice to save 10%. So you would get these 2 projects plus the 2 projects that I'm going to show today. All 4 of those are cards, and all 4 of them will come with envelopes, and I will mail them to your home with all of the pieces and everything cut out for you, except for the stuff that I can't, because you got to stamp first, then punch. And there will be no stamping, so you'll get the PDF sent to your email. It'll have pictures of the projects. It'll have the supply list, and it'll have the measurements, okay? So these were last week's. Let's kind of dive into this week's. So for starters, I'm going to show you the stamp set that we're going to use today. We are going to use it in the first card and in the second card, but they are a little different. Today I wanted to show you how you can take 2 cards and you can make them look different even by using the same colors, but maybe by adding just 1 or 2 things. So it's kind of like I'm showing you a simple card, but maybe to the next level of an avid crafter, moving it up and just adding maybe 1 or 2 more items to it. So we are going to use the Stargazing stamp set. I love this stamp set because I totally like all the mystical things like the unicorns and the mermaids and all that fun stuff. This stamp set is on the retired list. Okay, so some of the items that we're going to use today are on the retired list, and I want to show you which ones. I'm going to show you the card that we're doing first, and then I'll show you the retired stuff we're doing. So here is the card, and it is made of Night and Navy, Balmy Blue, Whisper White. And if you can see this up close, let me see if I can get it up close for you a little bit. See the silver? That is embossing folder that we're going to use today. So we're going to heat emboss today. Okay. This is pretty much a very simple card. We're just going to stamp. We're going to do a couple punches and we're going to heat emboss. Okay. Now with this card, there's a lot of things that are on the retired list. The Stargaze stamp set is one of them. The other thing that's on the retired list, which I will say this breaks my heart. This is a go-to punch of mine. I love it, and I am going to be sad to see it go. This is our Starburst punch. This is also on the retired list. 2 other punches that we're going to be using today. We're going to be using the 1 3/4 inch circle punch, and we're going to be using the 1 1/4 inch circle punch. I believe both of them are on the retired list. I believe we are only, no, you know what? I think the 1 3/4 is still there. Let me look. I have my book here that I put retired items on, and I went through and I highlighted all the things that are being retired because it helps me keep track of all of it, because otherwise I cannot keep track of it. All right. You know what? The 1 3/4 inch punch, it is gone. So that's my bad. So we are keeping, or we are getting rid of the 1 inch and the 1 1/2 inch. And I don't know why I have the 1 1/4 inch, because I didn't even use that. So that's, I don't know why I have that out. So we're just going to pretend we didn't even see that, okay? Must have been, I must have pulled the wrong one. Okay, so we're using the 1 3/4, and then we're using the Starburst. Now, if you have the layering circle dies, all the circles have different shapes that are this size, okay? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started with this. Oh, another thing that's being on the discontinued list is our embossing buddy, which I will show you how to use the embossing buddy. So if that's something that you want, or you use the embossing buddy a lot, I mean, one of these will last you a really long time, and I believe they're like $3. So we'll go ahead and get started with that. Okay, so, oh, and geez, there is one more item that's being discontinued. Our silver thread is also being let go. So there's a lot of items here that are on the discontinued list. We have the stamp set, the embossing, the thread, and the punch. So 4 items today, okay? So let's get started and let's show you how to make this card. All right, so we're gonna start out with our card base here, which is the Night of Navy, and that is 8.5 by 5.5, and then we score it at 4 1/4, okay? Now I have 2 pieces of Whisper White here. I have the one for the inside, because if you go to right on the inside, it's a dark color and you can't see. So we are gonna have one on the inside, which I'm gonna go ahead and attach while I tell you the measurements. That is a 4 by 5 1/4. And that is gonna just go on the inside here, okay? I'm not stamping on the inside, so I can go ahead and adhere that right away. Then we have couple more pieces. We have our next layer, which is our balmy blue. We are not stamping on this. This is going to be our first layer. I have chose to make all these layers flat, meaning I'm not going to pop them up with a dimensional, but if you would like to do that, by all means, go ahead and use your dimensionals and pop them up. This size here is the same size as the inside. So it measures at 4 and 5 1/4. Okay. Now the next one is the one we're going to stamp on. So we don't want to adhere this just yet. In case I make a mistake, we want to be able to flip it over. So this one here is the second or the third layer. And this is a 5 by 3 3/4. Okay. So I'm going to set these two aside because I've already used our punch for this. And then I will stamp and punch on that. But right now we're going to go ahead and do some stamping. And we're going to be using a lot of stamps actually. I'm going to go ahead and put this up at top here. We need to take our big piece because that's going to be our centerpiece. And we are going, it's kind of like the out, you know, the sky. And we're going to go ahead and we are going to, I'm just going to turn this upside down and do it like this. And we're going to put it in our balmy blue. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and shut that. And I'm just going to turn it around here. And actually, I'm going to go like this. And I'm just going to set that in the center. So I'm just going to stamp and set in the center, just like that. Okay. Now we have, you can't see because of this under here, but we have this swirly stamp set. We're going to put it right up in the corner, and then we're going to flip it over, and we're going to do it in this corner too. And we're going to do this in Night of Navy. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp this. One. Make the swirly side over here, 2. Okay, just like that. Set it aside. Now we want to have the silver, which is what we're going to do for the embossing. Okay, so these, like, I don't know, they look like stars to me. So when you're doing heat embossing, for those of you who have never done it, this is super fun. You will need a Versamark ink pad. And then I'm using silver, so we're using silver embossing powder. We're going to stamp this in the Versamark, and it's going to look clear. You're not going to see it. And then let me just show you how this works. 2 things that you can do, because powder can be messy. So we don't want to make a mess. So I do have one of these trays. So when I stamp, I will tap it off. If you do not have one of these trays, a coffee filter works perfect. Okay, so I'm actually going to show you how it works with a coffee filter. They're cheap and inexpensive, and you can get many uses out of them. Okay, so we're going to put the Versamark here, and I'm going to, a Versamark ink pad, for those of you who have never used it, it's sticky. And that's okay. That's how it's supposed to be. So I'm going to stamp one right here. Again, see, you can't even see it. If you look really close, you can kind of see it because it looks a little sticky. And then I'm going to do one right there. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to set our Versamark over to the side. And I'm going to hold this out, and I'm going to open up my silver powder. Do not be shy. I mean, just dump this on there because you don't want to miss any spots, because you're not wasting it, because I'll show you what we're going to do. You now are just going to tap off. Okay. You're just going to tap off. Now, I did not use the embossing buddy on this card because I wanted to show you that you can, some people love the embossing buddy. Some people don't use it. I will use it on the next card to show you what the embossing buddy is meant for. But, so here's this. Now, see how this is right here where it's in our little filter? We got these little creases right here. Now you can just go like this and pour it right back in there. Just tap it, pour it back in, and there you go. Now, I always seem to still get some on the table because that's what I do. All right, so now I'm going to get my heat tool, which I have my heat tool right here. And I am going to heat emboss it because what we want right now, if we touched it, it's just the powder sticking on that sticky ink, the Versamark. If we touched it, it would smear. So you definitely want to try not to touch it. But what I'm going to try to do it, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to try to do it up close so that you can see. When you start heat embossing, and there's 2 levels on this heat tool, level 1 and 2. I always put it right on 2 because 2 gets the hottest faster. But you will start, hopefully, and I don't know if this is working or not, but it'll start to turn shiny as soon as it's, there we go, gets to a certain temperature, it starts to turn shiny. That's when you know that it has been heat embossed. And that it's done. Hopefully you guys can see it because it's starting to turn right now. All right, so we're gonna turn this off. And I'm gonna set my little, and this is what the heat tool looks like, okay? It's got 2 settings, 1, 2. And then I'm just gonna set that aside because we don't need that right now. All right, so I don't know if you can see this now, but see how it's shiny? You can touch it. It feels really smooth too. So it's completely dry. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to adhere this on. Again, I'm doing it flat. I'm just going to kind of center it. Flip it over. There we go. Okay. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to stamp. I've already punched out our 1 punch out of our Night of Navy, but now we're going to have to stamp I Thank My Lucky Stars for You. So I'm going to get out my Balmy Blue and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp that image, and then we're going to get our punch and we're going to punch it out. And you know, I feel like this punch isn't the right punch for this, so let me see here. Maybe it is. There we go. I'm just going to punch it out. Again, if you don't have this punch, I would use the layering circle dies and run it through your cutting machine. Okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to just put a little adhesive on here and put it on here too, because I am going to do this part flat, but when I put it on here, I am going to use dimensionals to pop it up. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to put our dimensionals on right now. I'm just going to throw 3 of them on there. All right, so now we need to do our little thread. Now this is how I do the thread. Everybody does it differently. This is the way I do it. I'm going to cut a long piece here. Let's see here. I've kind of got kind of a mess going on over here. All right. Oh, well, that kind of cut 2 pieces. Must have, which is fine. Totally fine. All right, so we are going to use, I'm going to use glue dots. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my poker tool and I'm going to place a glue dot there. There. It really doesn't matter. You're not going to see the glue dots, okay? And I'm going to place one there. So I kind of did like a triangle, okay? And now I'm going to set up the end of this thread, which again, this is might be hard for you to see, over my glue dot. And then I'm just going to kind of loop it. I'm just going to loop it and set it on my glue dot again. Now I'm going to turn it and I'm going to set it on my glue dot that way. And then I'm going to turn it and I'm going to set it on my glue dot that way. Okay, so all I'm doing is I'm just creating loops, I guess is the word I want to use. So I'm setting it on this glue dot here and I'm just now bringing it back to that glue dot, creating another loop. Another loop. Oops, that loop didn't want to stay. Hold on. Another loop and then another loop. And if you want it to be more secure too, you can, if you have a lot, like right now I have a lot on that one glue dot, I'm just going to place another glue dot over top of it. That way it kind of holds it down. And then I'm just going to take my dimensionals, the sticky part of my dimensionals off, and I'm just going to kind of line that up. And there you go. That's your card. See, now it's got all these like little loops of the thread. I like this thread. It's just simple. It's something that just adds a lot. It just adds a lot to the card, but it's very simple. So if this is something that you like, I would definitely go on right now to Amanda's Inspiration Station and get yours, because it is on the retired list and you don't want to miss out on that. I think they're like $3. They're not very expensive. I didn't look at the cost, but I know they're not very expensive. Okay, so here's the first card that we're going to do today. Now I want to show you the second card, because we are going to keep with this same theme of this card by using the Stargaze stamp set. However, we're adding a little bit more. So let me take it out of the sleeve here. We're going to add another stamp set to it. So this is going to be our next card here, okay? So notice that the background and everything is exactly the same. We're just not using this stamp that says, I thank my lucky stars for you. And we're not using this punch, the Starburst punch. We're using two smaller ones that says, keep dreaming. And this next stamp set we're just adding is our Silhouette Scenes. I love these Silhouette Scenes. I think they're just simple, but yet beautiful. So that's all we're going to do, is we're just going to add to that, okay? Now, this is not being retired, this stamp set, so that's good. But notice how I still have the thread behind here too. And this piece, I don't know if you can see it, it is part of our stitched rectangles. So I have already cut that piece out for us with the Big Shot, so we don't have to do that. So let's go ahead and let's start this card then. Same thing with this. We have a piece that is 4 by 5 1/4, and that's going to be our piece that we're going to put in the center so that we can write in it. Okay. Now, same with this piece. We're doing our first layer of Balmy Blue. It's the same size. It's 4 by 5 1/4. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put that down. Okay, and I just realized there we go, okay. Now, again, we don't want to stamp on this just yet, because in case we mess up, I don't want to do that. So we're going to do the exact same thing that we did to the last one. We're going to ink up our big, like, sky type image with our Balmy Blue. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to set that down. Now I'm going to do it. Oh, I forgot. We're turning it, aren't we? So I'm going to flip that over. See how I just went straight up? Because I was thinking we were doing it this way. The card is going up this way. I do want to angle it a little bit more, not straight up. Not that that matters. We could do it, but I like it angled better. So again, good thing this paper has two sides. And every once in a while, 2 sides is still not enough, and that requires you to cut a new piece. We've all done that before, I'm sure. Okay, so we're going to angle it a little bit. Yeah, I like it angled. All right. So now we need to get out our Night of Navy, and we're going to do some swirlies. We're still going to do our swirlies in each corner. But this time, instead of flipping it like this so that the 2 big swirlies are on the outside, I'm actually just going to leave it like this and have them go the same direction. Spice it up a little bit. All right, so let's use the Embossing Buddy so that I can show you what this is for. Sometimes when you are using your embossing powders, pieces of the powder may go on your piece of paper that is not where you're using it with the Versamark, okay? And then when you go to use your heat tool, it really happens a lot with like black embossing powder or anything that's darker is what I find that it happens. And you'll have your image, so you'll have your image here, but then all of a sudden you'll see little specks of it everywhere else. To prevent that, this is why we use the Embossing Buddy. So this is kind of filled with like like talc. It's almost like one of those hand things that like gymnasts use. Like when you go like this and they go like this, you know, on the bars or whatever. It's kind of like that. So what you would do is you would just rub your piece of cardstock, okay? And this is supposed to help it so that this will not stick anywhere else other than where you use the stamp. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm going to do it here. And then it looks like with this one, that's the only place that I did it because you won't be able to see it past here anyway. So let's get out our little coffee filter. And then we're just gonna go like this. And I'm gonna dump it like that, okay? And then we'll go like this again and we'll tap that. Okay. Close this. We don't need this anymore. Now I have this powder all over from the embossing buddy, but that's all right. All right, so now I'm going to bring this back, my heat tool. And I'm just going to go ahead. We're going to, hopefully you guys can see it change. I'll let you know when it's starting to. There we go. It's starting to change now. All right. So it takes a minute to, takes a few seconds to get it started, but we got it. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place this on our card. And rub that down. Okay, so now we have 3 more pieces left and we still need to do some more of our fun thread. So I'm gonna grab some thread here. I'm going to grab some more of our dots and I'm just going to do 2 of them this time because I think what I'm going to try to do is like a figure 8. So I'm just going to put them where I know that this is going to go behind. And I'm going to do one like this. I'm going to loop it up here and touch it there. Then I'm going to touch it back down here, right there. And then I'll go back up this way. I mean, either way, you're just kind of, whoops, that didn't want to stay. I pulled that too hard. Okay. We'll just go like this and we'll create another one going this way on the bottom. So right now I have 2 loops on the top, 2 loops on the bottom. Now I do have, it looks like quite a bit of thread here. So let's go ahead and loop some more. Why not? Okay. And we'll just do that. Okay, that one's a little big. Hold on. Let's close that one in a little bit. All right. I'm not going to continue to do more because I think that's enough, so I'm just going to cut that off. Okay. All right. So now we want to stamp this image. And I want to stamp this girl. I want her to be, I don't want it to be where I stamp it and then it's dark in some areas and light in other areas. So I definitely would recommend using your StazOn because it is a jet black. And I would recommend doing that. And with this, I find that when I use the StazOn, I do see, like if I were just to do this a couple times, see how like in some areas it's lighter, some it's darker. I sit and I do this like this so that I can make sure that every piece of it is jet black. Okay. So I'm pretty sure I have it jet black right now. So I'm going to go like this and I'm going to stamp our image. I don't want to rock. I just want to kind of hold firm, give it a little pressure and then pop it off. See, that didn't even come out as dark as this one did. So let's try that again. Let's see if, or what we could do, another thing that you can do is if you're good at using the markers, you could take the basic black marker and you could color in it. But let's try it one more time. There, that turned out better. But if you wanted to, let's say you didn't want to flip it over, or you already flipped it over once, you could take your basic black marker and color in that. Okay. But since it worked out good, I don't have to do that. All right. So I'm going to take some dimensionals and I'm going to put 2 of them on here. And I'm going to pop them up and we're going to put it over here. And we want to make sure that we're putting it covering our little clear glue dots. So we want that. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pop this up. I'm going to put 2. You could just use 1 in the center, but I'm going to do 2. And I'm just going to kind of make it so that it's over here like this. Okay, so now we have this circle one here. We need the little stamp that says keep dreaming. And we're going to use the balmy blue. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that. Oh, yeah, we do need that. The 1 1/4 punch. See, I use that, and that's not a punch that's in the catalog, but it is with our layering circles. There is a small one that you can use, but for this, I'm just going to quick punch it. All right, and I'm going to also pop this up. So I popped to give it a little extra dimension. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. Okay, there. So these are our cards today. Let's get this messiness out of the way. See how we just took the same stamp set, did basically the same background. We did a technique, which was the heat emboss, which was fun. Then we added a little extra ooh la la, which is the thread. Okay. And then with this one, we just added the girl, which was another stamp set, which was the Silhouette Scenes. So great. I love it. Okay. So this is this week's projects. This is last week's projects. So remember, if you decide that you want to go on the retired list and you want to pick up a few of these items, if you spend $35 or more under amandasinspirationstation.com and you shop with me, use this hostess code and I will send you all 4 of these cut, prepped, and bagged for you, and envelopes including. All right, I will be mailing these out on May 6th because everyone has till May 5th to use this code. So May 6th will be when I will have it. They'll be finished. They'll be mailed out on May 7th. Okay. If anyone has any questions, let me know. Thank you so much for joining me for my weekly Wednesday. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Have a great day. Bye.